Hello, welcome, and sorry. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to another Friday live stream. Maple live stream, I should say. I'm Jor. We got Rajat is back in the house from his tropical vacation last week. And we got Forrest Hodl, also known as Forrest Hodl. And it is Friday. We got a good show in store for you. Not a good store and show for you today. If you're under 40, Bitcoin is the new gold. We're going to be talking about gold. We're going to be talking about silver. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin. And we're going to be talking about the breakfast sandwiches that Rajat and I just crushed. So where do we begin here? Should we jump into the silver stuff, Rajat? Let's see your tweet. I like that one.
I actually wanted to say the vacation was not tropical, by the way. That was just a joke. It was like minus 40 degrees. So
yeah, we showed a picture of you last week on the show.
Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah, that would have been cool. Here, let me share that tweet. There you go.
Hey, we did want to know, though, what kind of fish was that you were holding?
I think it was a walleye.
Yeah.
Like that
makes sense.
It's pretty cool.
It looked like a walleye.
Yeah. Wait, did you guys share that picture?
Yeah, we showed it on the stream.
Oh, great. Okay. Did you guys show the one with my beard?
No.
Oh.
That was a video, I think, wasn't it?
No, that was a video. You're right. Oh, that would have been cool, though.
But we had a contest saying whoever could guess where Rajat was on vacation, we would send them 1,000 sats. And there was a little bit of what's that?
Did anybody guess it? I was
just but she had inside information.
Who?
She was part of your school community. Can't remember her name.
Oh, was it Ramya?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that's funny.
So she got 1,000 sats for her troubles.
Nice. There you go.
Inside information. Or if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
That's it. She's actually splitting it with me.
What is that?
Oh man, so silver's going crazy to the downside. I was just messing around on Twitter. I was making these posts because we got bullied so much over the last few months. Bitcoin dropped what was it, like 30% from the top over 4 months. Silver did the exact same thing in a day.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Go ahead. I saw a post that Bitcoin's market cap is at like 1.7 trillion right now, and I don't know what the snapshot was, but it was from today at some point. Silver dropped $2.4 trillion in market cap in one day.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's freaking rough.
That's brutal. That's insane.
Where's your tweet, Rajat? I want to see your tweet. That was a good one.
Here.
Oh, it's to the right there.
This one here. I actually made a typo in it. I just noticed. I was typing so fast that I made a mistake.
It's right there. Okay, yeah, I was looking for it.
There.
Sorry, guy.
It sounds like I'm talking to some Canadian friend of mine.
Yeah, sorry, guy.
You know what's interesting? I've been thinking about this with with what is gold and silver signaling to the market, right? Because people think of these as safe haven assets that you're buying when the dollar is broken, right? Or when there's economic uncertainty, when there's risk of something greater happening, you're trying to get to something stable. But this isn't signaling, like this price action to the downside with gold as well. Gold is like, in the teens. It went down in the teens basically in one day. That's not stability in the sense of where people are storing value. This price action is actually a speculative type of price action.
Yeah.
Which is kind of signaling something different to me. Like the fact that people are speculating to this degree on precious metals, it's more like of the degeneracy of like online gambling and meme coins. Like it's a signal that like that is also a signal that something is broken, but it's not really like the fiat debasement trade that people are thinking it is. If it can move like this, this is people like over leveraging to the upside, to the downside, getting squeezed, margin called, going all in to see crazy gains and taking a screenshot instead of profits. Like this is just more of the same. Actually, this is more of the AI bubble. This is the meme coin. This is not the debasement trade I think that we think it is. At least that's my new perspective after seeing this price action.
I want to say part of it probably is, but definitely not all of it. Like silver should definitely be going up. Gold should definitely be going up. I'm not even saying that silver and gold shouldn't be going up. It's just funny that the people in silver and gold over the last few years were saying that Bitcoin is a shitcoin because it was doing this.
You're
Right?
right.
That's the funny part. To me, that's the funny part. I have nothing against people buying silver and gold. Nothing at all. Go buy what you want to. If that's your thesis, then perfectly fine. But if you're telling me that Bitcoin is too volatile and this is how your precious metal is performing, this is more volatile than Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's a great point, boys. Great points. I never really thought about it that way, but I also never saw this chart until right now.
Yeah, this is silver, by the way. It went down all the way to like $73. Crazy.
Wow. I still got a little bit of silver myself, and I was thinking about cashing a few in, but I guess I missed the boat, so I'll have to wait another 50 years to to get her back.
Patience, man. You think our time preference is low with Bitcoin, man? Imagine being a silver bug years ago, right?
Yeah.
You got to have crazy patience for these things.
Well, it's one of those things too. Like that's one thing I've noticed in the last couple of weeks here of just kind of going through this gold and silver while Bitcoiners. I mean, it's the classic meme of the guy standing in the corner while there's other people dancing, and the guy in the corner has been Bitcoiner watching gold and silver and all these other things move.
Yeah.
But the one thing I've noticed is that as soon as they start going up like this, all of a sudden there's a huge spotlight being shined on them, and everybody's watching, and then you start to see some of the foundational cracks there. And I'm trying to find this tweet right now talking about that, which is a guy who's holding, I think it was 1,000 ounces of silver, and how much of an issue he had trying to move it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the things that people really miss in Bitcoin is just the liquidity is a superpower. The fact that this is a global asset with global demand, and you can move it within 5 seconds, you can sell it, you can get rid of it, the whole thing, to anybody in the world. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty big deal. And you just get there. It is right there. Do you want to read through this, Rajat?
Yeah, no, you go for it. Go for it. I just had it available. I knew where it was. So
okay. So it says, I'm sitting on 1,000 ounces of silver bars, bought physical, did what everyone says to do. Real assets outside the system. When everything collapses, you'll be glad you have it. Tried to sell some last week, trying to sell today. Refineries won't touch it. Dealers lowballing 30% under spot. Banks looking at me like I'm selling contraband. Turns out owning something and being able to exit something are two very different skills. This is the same trap I see in trading. People hold positions. They can't exit stocks. They can't exit stocks with no volume, options with no buyers, sitting on value that only exists on paper. Supply and demand lesson learned. So there's a follow-up to that too, I believe, that he came out with the next day. 1.5 million people saw that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll find it.
I mean, liquidity in a market is so underrated from people that don't understand that. And you kind of have, with precious metals, you have, what this is showing as well is that there's different markets. There's paper certificates, there's future contracts, and then there's physical metal. And the physical metal, I've never understood. Like, I understand the idea of like holding something precious like that, something scarce, but after having dealt with it in a physical sense of buying it at a premium, a serious premium, like, 5-10% is like good for a premium.
Mm-hmm.
And then being able to sell it maybe at spot if you have a small amount and you're kind of lucky, you get a good gold dealer, but people definitely wanting to undercut you as well. Having to try to avoid that, it's such a pain. And that is a very illiquid market. That's a market with a lot of friction. So like, I don't think spot right now is the cause of this correction, right? It's the paper markets that are causing a massive correction like this, if I had to guess, right? And I'm not a metals market expert by any means, but I just see that those are two different markets that obviously affect each other. But I think it's I think anybody, I don't know. I became very disillusioned with the metal markets after having to deal with the physical metal. It's a pain in the ass. I really didn't like the process of it.
I went through the same thing earlier this year. I bought silver back in 2020, I believe it was, and it was about what 25. It was the same for the last 4 years, pretty much price wise. So 25 bucks, let's say USD, and I bought them on eBay. Some of them on eBay, some of them from the Royal Canadian Mint. And because of them, some of them were like commemorative, like you said, Forrester, you pay a bit of a premium on top of that. And so when I actually went to sell my silver, I lost about 30% because he's like, well, it doesn't really matter how commemorative these are. They're being melted down into something else. So I can't pay you what you paid for them. So it was actually not a very good store of value at all for me. I lost pretty significantly on the trade. There, I think that's it. No.
Is it this one?
You get melt value, and there's actually like large like lawsuit scams of silver and gold companies that only sell commemorative coins, and they have huge premiums, and they don't tell they actively sell to their customers, right? They reach out to them, they try to, oh, you got to buy this one and this one, but they don't inform anybody that you're paying massive premiums to it. So that it's like a scam to try to trick people that don't recognize that, that don't know that lesson that you also had to learn the hard way, right? Like there's literally like a scam market for commemorative coins. It's pretty wild.
Legit.
Yeah.
Rajat, that's not the one. The one that I'm thinking of had liquidity equals freedom in it. It was the day after that original post.
What day was it? January 23rd. Not this one.
So there's the original one. What's the date on that original tweet there?
Oh, January 23rd. Oh, he quoted a bunch of times actually.
It was the day after that. Keep going.
Not that one.
No, it was another longer one.
Day
but
24.
The main message was liquidity equals freedom.
Dude's got a Claude bot post
right here, right there for Rajat.
This one? Yep. Oh, perfect. Yep. There you go.
Okay, so this is the follow-up the next day. He said, been thinking about this all week. The silver is still sitting there. Called 3 more dealers today, same story, and it hit me. I don't own this silver. The silver owns me. Everyone says, hold what you can touch. But what's the point of touching something you can't move? The future isn't physical. The future is liquid. That was a big one for me. The future isn't physical. The future is liquid. Took 1,000 ounces of silver to learn that.
Yeah. Could you imagine how easy it would be to sell? What is 1,000 ounces of silver at the time? Maybe $100,000. How easy would it be to sell 1 Bitcoin?
Instant. I mean, you look at the order books. There's so much Bitcoin moving. It's crazy. And maybe this guy could have sold. There's somebody in the comments saying I had no problem selling 100 ounces. I'm sure that he could sell small amounts or relative to his position. But you got to think of these like gold and silver dealers. How much cash are they able to get? Do you have to call ahead? Is there going to be an armed guard there? Right? You got to go in the back to the safe. Like how much are they willing to really like? Do they have $100,000 in their shop? I don't know. I don't know how that works either. But like that seems like pretty big trade to me. I don't think you'd have a problem selling 10 ounces or maybe even 100 ounces, but more than that, it's going to become illiquid again.
Yeah, and the big pools of capital. I mean, we're not talking institutions here necessarily, but even comparing the two from an institutional lens, like these two assets, even though they're fairly similar, the liquidity here is the deal breaker, I think, for the big institutions. And think about people with a lot of wealth, and maybe they're paying somebody else to store their gold. Maybe it's in their basement. Who knows? But yeah, for people with 100 ounces or less, maybe it's fairly easy to do. But the thing with Bitcoin is that it doesn't matter if you have 1 million Satoshis or 200,000 Bitcoin. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's there's just so much demand, and there's so much demand for it. It's very liquid. And when you're going through a transition like this and the world that we're living in right now, it's important to be very liquid. I think that's the key. And that's kind of, you could hold paper silver and paper gold, but that defeats the whole purpose of what Bitcoin's trying to accomplish here too. So
I think what's important here is so let's say you did want to sell a bunch of silver. You could go to a bunch of different dealers. But the thing is, you have to physically go to them. You have to physically take your silver with you, right? Whereas with Bitcoin, it's not like you're selling it all to one person. You could sell it to one person, but you could be selling that 1 Bitcoin to thousands of people because you can reach them with the internet. You can't do that with gold or silver. This is a lesson here that I don't think most people were going to understand unless they actually saw something like this happening. You can see here the spread between the spread between buy and sell for Bitcoin is like $200. It was down to $30 at one point. I was just watching.
Mhm.
The spread between buying and selling gold is actually, I can check to see what it is. I don't know what it would be actually. I haven't even checked, but it's probably smaller than the spread between it percentage wise than the spread between buying and selling Bitcoin.
There's one other thing that he said in that tweet that I thought was really
Mm,
interesting. He mentioned like the silver ends up owning you, and it's actually about the ability to move something. What's the point of touching
yeah.
something you can't move? What's interesting about that is there is no real ownership of Bitcoin in the sense of being able to own, like touch something and own something. All you own with Bitcoin is the private keys to an address, which gives you the ability to move it. That is the ownership. The ownership is directly being the ability to move something.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think just kind of going off that for us, I know we talk about this a lot, or I have anyways, but even when people think of being able to hold something there, he says, everyone says, hold what you can touch. And I think people kind of you know, put too much emphasis into being able to see and touch things, because when you can see and touch things, that means that somebody can take it from you. Right. And that's when we go back to, like, he said, you don't own the silver owns you. Well, silver, if you have an ounce of silver in your hand, you do own that. But again, it goes back to the you only own it until somebody more powerful comes along. And so that's the thing with Bitcoin, is because you can't physically hold it, you can't physically steal it from somebody either. And so it totally changes the whole incentives of like securing your stuff, of violence, of all these different things. And Bitcoin is one thing that if you could put 12 words in a book and hop on an airplane and leave with that, and that's your Bitcoin. So even though you can't touch it, that's also a benefit, because
Yeah.
if you can't touch it, that means that nobody can come to your house with a gun and take it from you either. So if you do it right, Bitcoin is far superior to both gold and silver in that respect, in the sense that you own it without being able to touch it. And because you can't touch it, nobody can just come to your house and take it from you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Rajat, did you find those spreads that you were mentioning?
Oh, so I was looking at the spread for XAGUSD, and then there's also, is it SLV?
Yeah,
The
SLV is
iShares.
the ETF. Yeah.
So you can see here the spread for SLV is 1 cent, but the spread for silver in person would be completely different,
Oh, way
because
different.
this is like you're competing with a bunch of sellers for a bunch of buyers who want to buy it. Whereas if you sell it in person, you're competing with one person, right? So
Yep.
if you're competing with a single person, then that means that that person basically has full control if you're going to them to sell it. So they can tell you, if we're going to buy it from you, we can give you $70. If we're going to sell it, if we're going to buy it from you, we're going to give you $70. And if you sell it, if we sell it to you, we're going to charge you $85. But
Yep.
the actual price right now, you can see here, is 76.49. Or no, sorry, no, that's not the price. So that's the price of SLV. SLV is the ETF. So that's why the ETF is required. The actual price of silver is $83.23. So with actual silver, like with in-person silver, you only have one seller or one buyer. Whereas with silver on an exchange, like this is why silver has to be tokenized, because you can't trade it it's impossible to trade it in person. There would be no trading. SLV is a bigger market than the actual silver, from what I know.
Way bigger.
Right? And that's crazy,
Yeah,
because
like
it's
there's
backed by
there's
nothing.
I don't know what the exact amounts are, but the amount of silver that gets traded, paper silver, compared to the actual market cap itself every day, is
Yeah.
it's all fake. It's all
Yeah.
just games. It's just totally manipulated. It's been manipulated for a very long time. And I said at the start of the show, I'll have to wait another 50 years to sell my silver now. But it's not too far from the truth. It's like, as soon as you're getting into those games with fake stuff, that's the nice thing about silver too, is that even if you tokenize silver and gold, you still have to rely on somebody else to hold it for you, and you have to trust them. Bitcoin is the bare asset that you're holding. You can verify that yourself. If you're running a Bitcoin node, you don't need to trust anybody that it's real Bitcoin, how much they have, whether somebody else is owning it or not. If you have the private key to that Bitcoin, it's yours, and you can verify that. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Bitcoin Baby is back at it. He's
We
telling
don't.
us it's actually funny what he's saying. So he's saying if MSTR sells, he can't get 100% realization because it's illiquid. The difference is that you can sell that Bitcoin to literally anybody on Earth. I guarantee you that there's some buyer out there who would buy that Bitcoin in a snap. Like he could go OTC, sell 10,000 Bitcoin at a time, easy. BlackRock will buy it. Like, if anything, they'll accumulate as much as they can just so that they can sell it to their customers at a higher price in the future. Like they'll just keep it for themselves, right? That's the way that this works. With gold, you can't do that. If a massive holder of gold just holds as much as they can't just dump it on the market. You have to find buyers. You have to find physical buyers for it. There's a massive difference here, and I don't think that MSCR is going to sell. I don't see a reason for them to sell for whatever reason. But if they do, they'll definitely find a buyer.
Well, I mean, it's another thing too. Is like MSTR has around 3% of what is it? 3% of all of the Bitcoin or something.
3.1% or something, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
or
So
3.5% or something.
yeah. All right. Well, we'll just call it 3-4%, whatever they end up having.
Yeah, yeah.
If a one gold holder or one silver holder had that much percentage of the gold or silver physical market and tried to sell it, what do you think would happen to the price as well? Right, there's only so much liquidity in a market. Of course, that much selling is going to drive the price down because the buyers that are willing to pay at the current price, they have their orders filled, and
Mhm.
then it goes down to lower ones. Right? I mean, there can be examples in any market of holders trying to dump too quickly that it'll change the fiat exchange price of it. Like that's
Like
not saying anything really.
it really shows that a lot of people who have these opinions about Bitcoin or gold or anything really, they don't quite understand the market. And you can see here, gold is fluctuating in the trillions. You can dump gold. That's not true. You don't know how much gold has been dumped. You have no idea how much has been sold. You don't know how much of the gold float has been dumped to bring the price this low. Whereas with Bitcoin, you know exactly what's happening at any point. You
Yeah.
know, every time there's a trade, you know what's happening. That you can't. There's no faking it with Bitcoin. With gold, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's actually what I put on the thumbnail today, which is I think it was $771 trillion worth of gold. There was a tweet from World of Statistics. It said Earth's oceans contain an estimated $771 trillion worth of gold. And then Elon commented and said seawater contains enough of every element to support more than 10x current civilization needs. So there,
Wow.
we kind of get tricked into thinking that these are rare earth minerals, but they're really not. They're really not. And that's even when you think about scarcity. Like the reason why we're talking about gold and silver and Bitcoin here is because most people who would be watching this channel are fully aware of the problems in fiat, the fact that other people can print it. We're past that. But the big lie is that these metals are scarce. And even if you consider them to be somewhat scarce, there's a huge difference, and we're going to see this play out over time between something that's pretty scarce, kind of scarce, and absolutely scarce. Like the difference is, even though it's just one single word difference there, like that's monumental in terms of where this thing's going to end up going.
It's even so much so that it's hard to comprehend really the difference of that. The scarcity of gold and silver and any other metal or element in the universe is only as scarce as our desire to acquire it.
Well
And
said.
that's not the case with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is has a finite cap to it that cannot be changed. It's really, I mean, if you can wrap your mind around that, you'll understand the one of the major differences between these two assets. There's many other differences, and there's many other reasons why I think the three of us and many other Bitcoiners prefer Bitcoin over the other metals that it gets compared to. Uh, Bitcoin is a paradigm shift in understanding of money and technology, and it takes analogies and comparisons to other things that we understand. And that's the narrative. Bitcoin has been compared to gold, digital gold, all this kind of stuff. And people say, well, it doesn't move like gold. It moves like a tech stock. Yeah, it's compared to digital gold in the way where there's an extraction of it. There's sort of the mind. Like none of these things are perfect analogies. They're jumping off points to begin to understand something that is fundamentally different, that it needs its own language to understand.
Yeah.
And you just there's no perfect comparison, because it's completely unique and different than anything else that's ever existed.
Yeah, great point. Great point. And that's it just kind of goes to show how early we are, I think, with everything. I made a joke on Nostra last night saying maybe we're too early. But it kind of seems like that some days, because it's, it's not a lack of conviction, definitely not on this end. It's just kind of a frustration of how are people not seeing this, and what's their incentives not to see it right now.
Yeah.
To me, it couldn't possibly be any more obvious. Although when I say that, it's like I spend pretty much every waking moment of my day looking at this stuff, thinking about this stuff. So it's a little bit different, but that's the frustration for me right now.
Can you share my screen there, Jor? I actually think
Rajat.
it's very relevant to what you were talking about here. I'm not sure if you guys saw this post, but for the people in the audience, even for us, I mean, I think this is pretty bullish. You see here, the average Bitcoin bear market is 14 months on a monthly closing basis versus gold, and you can see here, 14 months.
So this is Bitcoin priced in gold. This chart.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
This is Bitcoin priced in gold, and you can see here, Bitcoin priced in gold. You can see this is pretty crazy. So I actually made a video. I'm going to post it tomorrow, where I talk about this. I actually talk about this trend. And I think at the time when I was posting the video, or when I was making the video, it was around 16 Bitcoin or 16 ounces of gold per Bitcoin. And it's jumped significantly. So you can see here, this is if this is something that plays out, it could get pretty wild.
There you go.
So this is the trend, right? This is the downtrend right now. So from here, this is December of 2024 till today, January of 2026. Beginning of December till end of January. That's 14 months exactly.
Interesting. I wonder if we'll see that play out. If it'll be consistent with its history. So those other, if you go back to that other chart, Rajat, I just want to revisit it. Is it exactly 14 months for those other ones?
Are you talking about this one?
Yeah. So those other ones are 14 months from. That's pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
Let's see if that's the case. So Bitcoin per gold. So the top would have been here. Here, the top was in, December of 2021. That's the top here, or maybe we can even consider this one to be the top. So October or November 2021. And the bottom is here, I'd say, November of 2022. So October of 2021 to November of 2022. The November bottom was as a result of FTX, and I think that happened near the end. So that seems like it's about 13 to 14 months.
Right.
Yeah, so he said 14 months here. And then
it
the
looks
next
like
one.
There's a comment there by Benjamin Cohen as well that's doing a correction. So these might be slightly askewed.
Yeah.
But
possible.
Yeah, I mean, it would be absolutely insane if it was exact. Right?
Yeah.
So,
It'd be crazy. But like that's what I mean, right? Maybe this is where the trend reverses. Maybe this is the start of a reversal. But who knows? I wouldn't trade on this. I wouldn't tell people to trade on this. This could end up being a false alarm.
Yeah, dead cat bounce. Priced in gold. Maybe. I mean, to me, I say this stuff all the time, and we look at the charts, we look at Bitcoin, we keep up with the news. That's because we're making content around it, and we're genuinely interested as well. But ultimately, none of this really matters. This is all short term, and what George said there. Maybe we're too early. That's a time frame reference, right? That's referencing this moment of time, and maybe we are, but again, it's all about personal perspective and definitions. And I just think it's so inevitable. Bitcoin just feels so inevitable. It just, no matter what condition the exchange rate is in, it just feels like the best asymmetrical bet. And if you do look at like risk reward metrics and indicators, it's like people are like, we're talking about it too. We're talking about silver and gold. And, like we've seen a huge drawdown today, so it's way more obvious. But like for the past while, like how much more can it run? Could it double from here? Yeah, but it's already ran like crazy. And so it's more likely as the price goes up in such a quick way, it becomes more and more likely that there's going to be a correction. So you actually want to, it's counterintuitive to your emotions, it's counterintuitive to how you feel and what you see, but you want to buy things when they're distressed, that are strong assets that have a future, and you want to maybe trim off the top or not hold things that are going parabolic. But it's the opposite of what people really want to do.
Yeah, I actually have a tweet on that exact topic. So I want to keep pushing this. I want to keep telling people because we got basically shit on for the last 4 months. And like this is what I said. So I said this is silver in the last 5 years. Like you can see it here.
Yeah.
Now it seems so obvious. Oh yeah, it was gonna drop. Don't worry, it was gonna drop. Now we know it was gonna drop. But people kept telling you, no, it hasn't even started yet. It's going up, it's going up. But now it's down 40%. And if you look through the comments, man, like I got wrecked. People were telling me I'm an idiot, right? People were telling me I'm an idiot. People were like, this guy said, didn't Bitcoin look like this at some point? But I guess that's okay. No, I don't think we ever tell people to buy. I don't think we've ever, even while we've had the channel, we haven't gone through something like this with Bitcoin. It hasn't really happened. Like it's all just pretty much going sideways and it's going up and down slowly, right? Like it hasn't had this crazy blow off top, but like, take a look at this. Price was suppressed for 60 years. Like they expect it to keep going up. Right.
60 years minimum. Wow.
The coupon silver is unmatched, already up crazy, and they're still, yeah, exactly. Like this is, it's crazy how people, they don't see it coming.
No.
And then once it hits,
it's obvious.
Hits really hard. Like, look at this.
Yeah.
Yep. And now 114, try harder, dude. Like,
yeah.
It'll be the same thing with Bitcoin though. Like when it's Bitcoin's turn, it's going to be the same thing. It'll look so obvious looking back on it.
Right.
Yeah, hindsight is always 2020. And the other thing too about the manipulation, it's like maybe that's true. Maybe silver's been manipulated for a long time. It makes a lot of sense. It's an input material for a lot of goods, and if economies want to keep cost of consumer goods down, they want to keep the cost of the commodities that go into it down, artificially, not have sort of a monetary premium built on top of these things that they need to use. So yeah, it makes sense to suppress these things if you have the financial tools to do so. I don't think that's right. I don't think manipulation, suppression of any market is right. I think that's manipulation, but it exists in every single market. So it exists in Bitcoin too. But the thing is that we talked about earlier is Bitcoin is much more transparent than these things. And yes, there are ways to sort of hide it in certain ways. Like, do we have the addresses of every single thing? Well, no. Do we know how many coins are lost? No. There's a little bit of, ability to cause some sort of manipulation, but it is much more transparent. And the manipulation that does happen gets found out way sooner. So you don't have to wait 60 years minimum to see the suppression and the manipulation to happen. When FTX tried it, it took a downturn of the market, and then it was incredibly obvious that all of their assets were held in the token that they made up. And they didn't have the Bitcoin anymore. They didn't have any of the assets anymore, or as much as they said they did. They just collateralized their assets with their own made up token that that the market was incredibly illiquid on because it was a shit coin. So it's like, that was found out very, very quickly. That was a huge amount of fraud, market suppression, manipulation, and it was found out very quickly with FTX. And that's what happens with Bitcoin. You can't manipulate it in the same way that you can these other assets.
Yeah.
Agree. You can get away with it for a while, but eventually it comes out. A couple different things here, boys, I wanted to share. I saw Bernard asked a question there of how you can verify the supply of Bitcoin. This is probably the best way to do it right here using this website called Time Chain Calendar. Oh, that's pretty zoomed in. But you can see here, this is pretty useful website here.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff you can see on the website here. So this is timechaincalendar.com. And you can see the epoch here, which we're in epoch number 5. You can see the block subsidy, which is 3.125 Bitcoin every block right now. And you can see the total supply. So I would love to see something similar for this on gold and silver to see what the supply is and the total of of how much there's going to be. So you can see that there's 19.8 million. So in March, actually March 2026, we're going to hit 20 million coins mined, which is pretty wild in the sense that for the first 17 and 17.2 years, 20 million coins mined. And then for the next 120 years, there's 1 million coins left.
Sorry, when did you say it's going to happen? 20 million?
March 2020.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And so this website isn't just giving numbers out based on the probability of anything. It's based off of this guy's node, which is calculating exactly when a block hits. It updates right away, and it gets visualized in this way. So he is running Bitcoin software, and that is ultimately how you validate all the Bitcoin in existence is by running Bitcoin software that does not work unless everything is accurate. It literally breaks. Like if there's something wrong with the code, it just is showing too much Bitcoin or not enough Bitcoin, it doesn't work. It just stops working. It says error, basically. So you would run your own node. Then you are either trusting that node to be proper software and show accurate amounts of Bitcoin, and each address and each Coinbase transaction, that's the new Bitcoin being created. Or you're validating that by looking through the code yourself, or you're looking through literally every single transaction that your node creates and views, and you're seeing, okay, there's 50 Bitcoin in the first block, 50 Bitcoin in the second block. Okay, these new blocks create 3.125 Bitcoin, and there's these miner fees, and it's sent from these wallets, and these addresses have an origin of the coins as well, right? So it's very difficult to do as an individual, and that's why software is developed to do that. But that software literally doesn't run unless it works properly and shows everything is valid.
Can you guys click that address just to show people that the Bitcoin is still there?
On the right there, the P2PK
transaction.
Yeah,
there's even a little more. Somebody sent in some extra Bitcoin in there.
So it's been there for 17 years?
Yep.
17
years and 27 days.
Wow.
This was the very first block in Bitcoin, the Genesis block. And you can see here that Satoshi, we know it was Satoshi. He was the one who mined it because he was the only one mining at this time. And this is another reason why Bitcoin will never be recreated, because this was a totally fair launch. Even the only block that was mined, which was this one, where Satoshi basically did it to make sure that everything was working. And so even that first block, he knew that it wasn't fair because he was the only one mining at the time. So he actually made these coins, these 50 Bitcoin, unspendable. Mm-hmm. So even in that sense, even though it's as small as it seemed at the time, Bitcoin from the very first Genesis block was mined fairly. There was no Bitcoin given out to insiders. There was no Bitcoin given out to family and friends. Every Bitcoin that's been mined, which newly generated coins, that's how a new Bitcoin are made, has been done fairly from the very first block, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah. And the Bitcoin white paper, the Bitcoin code was published. The Bitcoin white paper was published prior, but the Bitcoin code was published at this time, and it was available to the public. Of course, the public was not interested, didn't care. It's just some niche little thing. And it was also shared, to cypherpunks and cryptographers who would be the most interested in trying out, basically a computer science experiment with Bitcoin. And eventually it's led to what it is now, right? It's the only, in my opinion, it's the only fair launch possible, because anything else just becomes co-opted at this point because it's known about. It had to have started at such an obscure, unknown thing to be fairly launched, in my opinion.
One person.
Yep.
And it wasn't until, what block was it, like? Well, there was a couple different things that happened. The first transaction sent from Satoshi to Hal Finney. That was a pretty big one.
80 or something?
Yeah, 100 something.
100 something. The one that you're talking about there, Jor.
Yeah. So that's how you verify it there, Bernard. Hopefully that helps your question. A couple more things I wanted to share here, which is
actually, Jor, sorry, before we go ahead, can you just share that link in the comments there?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be useful for people.
Block 170, if we wanted to check out the first one.
170? Okay. I'll go back there in just one sec here. I wanted to share this too, boys, because this is something that's kind of new for us. and we haven't really talked about it very much, but we are now on Fountain, which is Fountain is a podcasting app essentially where you can find a bunch of different podcasts. But the cool thing about it is obviously Maple Bitcoins, all our shows are on there. So if you're somebody who, works out or goes for a walk and you'd rather just listen to a podcast version instead of a video on YouTube, we do have these available now on Fountain. And the cool thing about it is you can actually sign up for a Fountain account and you can earn Bitcoin for listening to our podcasts.
Yep.
So Fountain pays out per minute that you stream. I think there's usually a max of it changes every day. Some days you'll get more, some days you'll get less. And some days, it kind of changes every day. So how would people find that, Forrest? Actually, I'll just throw it in the chat right now. How about that?
You can go to fountain.fm and then you can
Just
create an
search
account
Maple?
and you can search Maple Bitcoin. It's a Nostr client. So it's built on the Nostr protocol, which if you create an account here, you'll have an NPub, you'll have an NSEC, you'll have a wallet, a Fountain wallet, and you'll be onboarded to Nostr, which you can use in all the other clients as well. So it's a good way to get introduced to Nostr, which is a really, really awesome protocol as well.
Yeah, speaking of Nostr, we're also on Nostr Live right now. And we got a couple zaps to report here. We got Josh, who sent in 8,888. Nice number there. He said, Maple Crew always delivering a real world asset knowledge, eh? Good Canadian there. And Unix zapped 2,000 units of freedom and said, happy Friday, stay humble and stack sats. Thank you, Unix And Letha the Icon zapped us 5,000 units of freedom today and said, happy Friday, guys. So that's the Nostr chat, kind of a little subset of Bitcoin legends over there, you might say.
We got if you guys want to, we got a super chat here as well.
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's just check out that. What'd you say it was, Forrest?
Oh yeah, 170.
170?
Oh yeah, 170, block 170. The first Bitcoin transaction.
The first Bitcoin transaction right there.
10 Bitcoin.
10 Bitcoin.
He didn't even want to send all 50, eh? What a cheapo.
Well, I think testing the change address system is probably smart too, but it sent back to the same address at that time.
Oh, so at this point he already had 8,500 Bitcoin. Wow.
Where do you see that?
I just calculated it.
Oh.
170 times 50.
So this is every transaction starting from the Genesis block here that we looked at there back in 2009. Every Bitcoin block has this thing called a Coinbase transaction, which is the newly generated coins. So whoever mines the block, that's their incentive, that's their payment for mining that block. So you can see here that they got 50 Bitcoin for doing this at the time. It's 3.125 now. And you can see the first transaction here, which is from Satoshi's wallet to Hal Finney. He sent 10 Bitcoin there, and then 40 Bitcoin got returned back to Satoshi.
The Coinbase transaction there, I think this mempool website just in general is so useful because when I was first learning about Bitcoin, trying to figure it out, that Coinbase transaction just showing that really helped me to understand it a little bit better. Because if you think about it, like how does Bitcoin get produced? How do you get it? There's only gonna be 21 million, but who makes it? How does it get made? It's almost like, I wouldn't even call it an honor system, because with an honor system you can cheat it. This is more just like a system where you're giving the Bitcoin to yourself. So whoever creates the block, can you scroll up there, Jor?
Sure. Where was it?
Actually, can you go all the way to the beginning? Or sorry, to the end. Yeah, the current ones.
Yep.
So like that one right there, Spider Pool. So you can see here, if you scroll down, oh, actually that works. So subsidy and fees. So in this case, right now, the block subsidy is 3.125 Bitcoin. The total fees on this block were 0.029 Bitcoin, so 2.9 million Satoshis. If you subtract 0.029 from 3.154, you get 3.125. And the way that this is confirmed, if you go down there, Jor, every single block, like Jor said, has a Coinbase transaction. And you know it's going to happen. You can go through any block you want to, put a random number into this mempool explorer. You'll see every single block has a Coinbase transaction. This is where the Coinbase, this is where the Bitcoin are created. Coinbase stole this name. This name did not come from Coinbase.
Yeah, they tainted it.
People have actually asked me, oh, is this where Did this come from Coinbase? No, Coinbase didn't exist when this was happening, when this was made. So the Coinbase transaction it can be audited by anybody. Anybody can check. Anybody can confirm that, okay, at this block, this is the amount of Bitcoin that should exist. And if there's any kind of problem, let's say, for example, you have the wrong number of Bitcoin, you can go back and see where that changed. And you can automatically see if, let's say in this case, the person was supposed to give themselves 3.1536 Bitcoin. If they put in, let's say, 315 Bitcoin, that block would be rejected. No node would want to confirm that block.
Yeah, the nodes reinforce the nodes reinforce the rules that the miners have to abide to. Yeah.
Right.
Look at this UTXO set.
Wow.
It's all in the same wallet too, eh? It's just one address.
224 Bitcoin in that Spider Pools address worth what is that? $18 million dollars.
Look at the total received, 16,797.
Wow.
Holy, what's that worth?
So it looks like they just kind of clear them out every quarter. I guess it's not right on schedule.
Wow. So the Bitcoin that went through this is worth $1.41 billion.
Oh, yeah, this is dates. You're right, Forrest. These are every couple of days.
Oh, every couple of days. Wow.
Pretty
cool. They hit a lot of blocks. That pool.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where like most people would have no idea that this exists. Even people who hold sizable amounts of Bitcoin, they probably have no idea that this resource exists. So what I would say to people, we didn't try to turn this into like a history lesson or anything on Bitcoin, but just go, if you're somebody who's interested in this stuff, just go to mempool.space and just like start playing around. You can look at all these different transactions. Again, this is kind of the time in Bitcoin. This is the block height in Bitcoin, 934,374. And that's how many blocks there's been since that Genesis block. That's the block height, or the time in Bitcoin. And so you can go to each one and you can look at it and see you can even ask AI, what are the most historical blocks, like the pizza day, a couple things like that. And you can go each halving every 210,000 blocks where the subsidy gets cut from 50 to 25 to 12.5 to 6.25. You can look at all this stuff. Like, how cool is that?
It's amazing.
Yeah. And I like telling that story, Joe. Remember when we were at the conference and we were sitting next to that guy? He'd been in Bitcoin for 16 years. Or no, sorry, since 2016, that's what it was. 10 years. Wow. And I think it was Lynn Alden. She put up on the screen something about hash rate. And I turned over to this guy and he's Googling what hash rate means. So there are people who have been around Bitcoin, just like what Jor said there. There are people who have been here for years and they have no clue that a resource like this exists.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, this is hash rate here. This is the amount of compute that that specific computers called ASICs, application specific integrated circuits, they do one thing only. They hash the SHA-256 algorithm. They basically attempt to solve the algorithm to be able to create the next block. There's millions of computers all over the world trying to do this, competing in a fair and open market to get that 3.125 Bitcoin newly minted and whatever fees are connected to their block. This is also interesting too, guys. I don't know if we want to talk about this, but there's been about 17% of hash rate has fallen in the
storm. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, I think it's the storm for one, but also I think hash rate follows price at this point. And so, if price goes down, miners have to unplug because it's no longer profitable for them based on their conditions, electricity costs or whatever, to attempt to mine Bitcoin. So they have to unplug. So that's probably been happening for a little while. And then my guess is the storm probably implemented that too, which kind of shows as well that we're in a state where Bitcoin mining has to become more and more decentralized. If a storm in one location in America can take the hash rate down like this, then I don't think it's as decentralized as it should be. And I imagine that in the future, it's going to become more and more so. There's going to be places all over the world so that, one one sort of geological thing that happens, like a storm, doesn't affect the global hash rate to such a large percentage.
I think that different countries are probably going to start mining, like governments are going to start mining just to keep the network decentralized.
It's in their best interest too, for sure.
Yeah.
And electrical producers as well.
Right.
Like it makes economic sense for them to have a buyer of first resort and a buyer of last resort for their electricity, so they can stay consistent with their energy production or increase energy production because there's always a buyer. I think, and that makes sense too. And I think also the other thing here too is probably there's been a decline of hash rate because there's been an increase in AI data centers.
Yep.
I think that's probably a contributing factor too.
Yeah, whatever's more profitable. That's a cool thing for them right now is like if the Bitcoin price was way up, I'm sure this would look a lot different than it is. Because I think that hash rate actually used to lead before we kind of got more immersed into the AI stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool now because if you have a data center, you can basically decide if you want to mine Bitcoin or do you want to allocate your resources to AI. And when the price of Bitcoin's down, they probably want to send some of that computing power to the AI, which is really cool. And I think that that's the thing that really stood out for me this week with the big storm in the US, which I thought was kind of funny. It's just like a normal day here in Manitoba and Ontario. Hey, Rajat. But anyways, the cool thing is like we talk about these hypothetical situations where Bitcoin's very flexible in the sense that if it creates all this robustness in the energy infrastructure, the power grid becomes more robust, but it's very flexible in the sense that they can basically flip a switch and they can send that energy somewhere else. And that's what we saw happen. So we've been talking about it as kind of like a hypothetical for a while now, but that's literally what happened last week, where instead of sending the energy to the Bitcoin mining, they just powered off. And now because the power grid was expanded, they actually have more resources to allocate to the people who need to heat their houses due to these storms in the cold. So I just thought it was really cool that we actually saw that play out in reality, not just a thought experiment or a hypothetical scenario there.
I think I just realized Bitcoin Baby is actually BCH or BSV person.
I know. I saw that too. That's embarrassing.
I just noticed. No. Maybe we should remove them because they're not going to, I don't think they want to learn, right?
No, I mean, definitely not. These people have no idea what they're talking about.
I see.
I don't even know why they, I guess they hate watch us. I'm not sure. I don't understand that.
Yeah. It's some sort of weird fetish.
It's gotta be. It's very strange.
Yeah.
We should also address, guys, this super chat too.
Sorry.
Good point. And then the comment from Tim Johnson Pool right after, if you want to star that.
Tim Johnson Pool.
Bitcoin's way down. You could have told people to wait.
Yeah, us and our crystal balls.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is from look at this, 10 euros, boys. Wow. That's a nice one. From Ali. Said, my boss said gold is better than your Bitcoin. I said, you can't get a loan on physical gold. Your gain is paper gain only until you sold it. But when you sell it, you don't have it anymore. Yeah, I was wondering about that too. Like, do people actually go down to the bank with like a bag full of gold and try to get a loan against that? Because we've been kind of, sorry, go ahead, Rajat.
I was going to say, I know they do that in India. Because when I went there were actually advertisements everywhere for loans on gold. But then the thing is,
gold just holds, or the bank just holds your gold for you.
Right, but then the issue is that they don't know, or you don't. Well, whoever the borrower is, whoever gave the gold to the bank, they have no idea if the bank actually has their gold.
Right.
Yeah, they have to trust that the bank has it, right?
Right.
And that they haven't created more money based on top of that gold. If they're not lending that gold out to somebody else and getting more fiat, and it's just a whole thing.
Yeah,
but I mean,
I mean, there's the custodial issue with a Bitcoin loan and a gold loan would be the same, but there's sort of a transparency issue with the gold loan that you might not have if you use a proper Bitcoin loan service. Like you send it to a Bitcoin address, it stays in that Bitcoin address. You can verify it that it hasn't moved. Yeah, they hold the keys to it, but you know that Bitcoin is there, and you have a trust agreement and a contract that says that you own it, right, with a loan attached to it. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah. So I mean, go ahead.
I think what Bitcoin-backed loans do is they make sure that the truth is upheld. So let's say you have a Bitcoin-backed a loan, you can always, like, there are lenders who are willing to show you proof of reserves, so you know that the Bitcoin is there. Whereas with gold, you can't do that. It's impossible. So even if the lender was a good actor, if let's say somebody else buys out their company and they're not a good actor, they could easily screw you over, right? To make a profit. So what they could do is they could lend that gold out to other people and then make a profit on it. And then you could potentially be at risk, even though you don't even know it.
Hmm. Yeah, you could. There's more risk of a rug for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Risk of rug.
Yeah. I mean,
Ruh-roh,
this
R-O-R.
whole episode we've been talking about Bitcoin versus gold. I mean, maybe just send them this.
Yeah.
I think being able to, I mean, take a fiat loan, in my opinion, that's a temporary thing that exists before, you know, Bitcoin becomes adopted more, and then there's nobody that wants to take that trade. There's nobody that wants to basically hold fiat, to have fiat, to give you the fiat. So I think that's a temporary thing, but that's only one minor advantage of Bitcoin over gold. And we've talked about many others here already.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like there's the store of value aspect because of the scarcity, the portability of it, the medium of exchange, the fact that you can send it to anyone in the world with an internet connection, all these different things. And then of course it is the best form of capital or of collateral, I should say. And just wait until the world realizes, not even so much from like the Bitcoiners perspective, but like the banks, the actual lenders, once they kind of clue into how much better Bitcoin is than anything else in terms of their managing their own risk and being able to capture if there's payment missed, it's at that point it's I would say it's over for the I would say that we're pretty close to it being over for the average person already. But once that kind of starts to spread a little bit, I think that's just we're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that loans in general need collateral. And I think that we've gotten completely far away with that with fiat, right? Like the idea of taking out a loan to buy a mortgage, right? The house is the collateral, the land is the collateral. But there's no way of valuing that. There's no way of understanding what the actual price of that, what the collateral is even worth day by day.
Right.
And there's no way, and then there's no way to call on that either. Well, it's a much, there is a way to call on it, but it creates an eviction, and then you know, then they have to have a forced sale, and it's so much friction.
Find a
So
buyer locally.
exactly. So I think we've gotten way too far away. I mean, we have a massive debt problem around the world, right? There's way too much debt because debt is what creates more fiat units, and the reason for that is the distance away from actually having collateral behind a loan. So we need to go back towards it. Like, there's nothing wrong with loans. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with that. It just needs the loans need to be collateralized, and Bitcoin is the most pristine version of collateral. It's transparent. It can be held in a multi-sig with an oracle for trust for less trust. You know, minimize trust with that. There's so many reasons why Bitcoin is going to be collateral for loans.
I want to say this conversation shows that, just a shout out to Jor's community there. We're visionaries, right? And it's because, like, I don't know if I told you guys this, but CFA Institute investigated me for saying exactly what you guys are saying. And we haven't had a conversation about this before.
Mm.
So we're thinking the same thing, even though the CFA Institute doesn't see it. So we are ahead. We're way ahead. Like if you understood what Jor and Forrest were saying there, then you're like 10 years ahead, even than the banks. The banks haven't even caught on yet. The banks don't even know that Bitcoin is the best collateral. So
Yeah.
like that's how early you are. It's crazy.
Bitcoiners are going to be the banks in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Bow Valley Credit Union.
Shout out Bow Valley.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to understand it, but you know, it's sort of made sense for El Salvador to adopt Bitcoin because they don't have their own currency and they're underdog, right? It kind of makes sense for a credit union, a small local credit union, to adopt Bitcoin, understand it, and bring products for it and services for it. It doesn't. It's when you have a sort of a monopoly on money, like these member banks have, you don't want to disrupt your own cash cow. Like, it makes no sense. It's why Google was so slow to create a competitive AI, because were worried it could disrupt their core business of search, which I don't know when's the last time you guys have Googled stuff, but I rarely do anymore. It's like one-offs just to, because, and
By
basically I
habit.
expect, yeah, by habit, and I expect the AI to basically answer it at the top of the search results anyway. Like it's completely, I mean, it's surprising how profitable Google still is when that core model has been disrupted in the way that it has by AI. It's actually pretty resilient, which is pretty amazing. But there's still a small percentage of people use AI worldwide. And so, if you just look at the incentives, it's going to be small banks. It's going to be individuals that create new financial services that are Bitcoiners first that are going to disrupt the old system.
100%. And that's the thing too. I think that's important for people to understand, because we talk about the enemy being bankers, right? But the real enemy is central bankers, the people who actually print the money. Your local credit union isn't responsible for printing money, even though they're part of the fractional reserve system, which is complete BS and has caused a lot of issues in the world. I'm hoping there's going to be banks, and it is going to be banks or credit unions like Bow Valley here, who are actually the winners of this. You're going to drive down the street in the city, and you're not going to see Bank of Montreal or TD Bank or Royal Bank. You might, but they're not going to have the same kind of influence that they do anymore as they do today. I know that for a fact. They just won't, because they're going to be so far behind, and they just won't be able to catch up. Bitcoin's not something that you can shortcut or print or just like fall in, try to get in line with you. You actually have to go through it the right way, and it takes time to do that. And I just feel like by the time they do that, they're going to be way behind with all this stuff. And so this is Bow Valley Credit Union in Alberta we were talking about here. So Bow Valley Credit Union launches Canada's first Bitcoin gateway.
We're getting debanked after this segment.
Oh yeah, that's our bet.
You mentioned, yeah. Anyway.
Oops.
Whatever.
Well, we're just an education company according to them, so they don't even know we have a YouTube channel.
Yep.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. I know what you mean.
like the big banks have had the monopoly for so long, and that's why when you drive down the street in the cities, they just have these massive buildings, because they were able to cheat I don't know if cheat's the right way, but manipulate their way, or like it's a very proof of stake network where the more you have, the more you get more of. Whereas Bitcoin is totally different. And I think that they're going to be the last ones to adopt it. And therefore places like Bow Valley Credit Union, Forest Credit Union in BC will probably start up one day with. And the crazy thing is, if you look far enough out, it's not like you're going to have a huge pool of Bitcoin to be able to do something like this. And the world's always going to have credit. People are always going to need to take loans. It's just going to look a lot different, I think.
It's about control, right? They were able to build those massive bank buildings and corporate offices and employ everybody and take massive bonuses and build, a market cap of a large company. It's because they have control of something that we all need. We all need the ability to transact with relatively low friction. Barter system has high friction. We need money. Money is a tool to enable frictionless settlement and trade. That's incredibly useful. And they basically have the control of that tool. So, that's incredibly valuable. And that's how they've been able to create so much wealth. And Bitcoin takes that tool away from them.
I was just going to say, like, if you look at the operation choke points that have happened, essentially the banks have had more power than the government in that sense, where because of the, what would you call it, the rights and freedoms, I guess, of Americans and people in other countries, they can't, by the Constitution, do certain things, but then they just essentially use the banks to do those things on their behalf. And if you cut off somebody's bank account, if you cut off access to somebody's bank account, you might as well just stop their blood from flowing. Like, they have nothing at that point, especially in the world that we live in now. And so these banks have just become way too powerful. And that's the cool thing for me, is like, we're moving into a decentralized world here. Like, you can see it. It's been happening for a decade now. We're decentralizing. And Bitcoin's going to be a big part of that. Bitcoin's the key tool to allow that to happen. Without Bitcoin, we wouldn't be able to achieve anything that we're about to live through here.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Rajat.
Oh, I was just going to quickly say, maybe that's a good transition to our title.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about the title yet.
Well, I mentioned it in the first 30 seconds just to
Oh,
keep
did you? Okay,
YouTube happy.
I
Yeah.
think we didn't go into it like as deep as I thought we would.
Yeah, good point. Because there was a bit of news today, and that's what kind of inspired this. And we'll catch up on some comments here. But Trump nominated a new Federal Reserve chair today. And I don't know if you'd call him a Bitcoiner, but he speaks very positively about Bitcoin.
I have an opinion on that. I posted a tweet about it. So yeah, let's get into that for sure.
Share it. Well, what do you got?
Well, I think it's worth watching the video if you haven't seen it. He does talk positively about Bitcoin being able to bring sort of a check and balance to the money market, the market of currency, because it is. I think he understands, it's decentralized, it's secure, and people will use it outside of the system that they've built. But then he kind of talks about how he talks about like how the technology is powerful and can be used, and we plan to use it or like we can use it in some way that benefits us. So in my opinion, there's a lot of people, politicians, a lot of celebrities, people that get idolized for technology and high ups and all this, they kind of speak out of both sides of the mouth so that people will think really positively of them, but they're actually going to be doing something really negative with it. So I think, he understands that Bitcoin is competition, whereas past Fed people have just sort of ignored it, which has been okay to do. It's only 16 years old, has a small market cap. It's not that important. We can just ignore this thing. We can't stop it. So the best thing we can do is just ignore it, not bring attention to it. If he's bringing attention to it, it's because they're going to try to compete with something like a CBDC. That's in my opinion, right? And they might do it through private banks. They use private banks own the Federal Reserve, right? They're the shareholders of the Federal Reserve. It might be private bank digital currencies. People can argue basically stable coins at this point are surveillance programmable money. So I don't see why they couldn't just do that as well. That's demand for their treasuries. And they build that good enough, trustworthy enough to just perpetuate the dollar system as it exists now, which is controlled by a small few. So I don't know. He understands Bitcoin to some degree, absolutely. But if you watch this, is he pro Bitcoin? I don't think so. I think he's pro Bitcoin in the idea where it has opened up the idea of digital programmable money.
Want to watch the video?
Just software.
You guys okay with that?
Yeah.
You made reference to Bitcoin, and I thought I heard a little bit of condescension that people are buying Bitcoin and these things.
But doesn't it? Charlie Munger, this is 2 or 3 years before he died, Charlie Munger attacked Bitcoin. He called it evil, in part because it would begin to undermine the Fed's ability to manage the economy.
Or it could provide market discipline, or it could tell the world that things need to be fixed.
Bitcoin does not make you nervous.
Bitcoin does not make me nervous. I can hearken back to a dinner I had here in 2011 with someone who is another guest on your show. I won't say his name. Okay, I just did Mark Andreessen, who showed me the white paper. That was the original white paper. I wish I had understood as clearly as he did how transformative Bitcoin and this new technology would be. Bitcoin doesn't trouble me. I think of it as an important asset that can help inform policymakers when they're doing things right and wrong. It is not a substitute to the dollar. I think it can often be a very good policeman for policy. And if I were to speak more broadly to what did Charlie Munger and others perhaps have in mind, there is a proliferation of securities that go under all sorts of names. Many, if not most of them, are not worth what they might be being traded for. So what did Charlie say, and maybe his pal Warren say? There's the innovators, the imitators, and the incompetents. They're real innovators that are happening in and around that new technology. And what I would try to impart towards businesses and bankers is that the underlying technology that Mark showed me in that white paper, or tried to show me in that white paper, it's just software. It's just the newest, coolest software that will provide us an ability to do things that we could never have done before. Can the software be used for good and evil? Yes, both, like all software.
Right.
So I don't cast aspersions like that. If there's a final point, it's these technologies are being built here. I don't just mean on Stanford campus. I believe in the United States. And the world's most talented engineers from China and Europe and everywhere, they come to the United States even now to try to build this stuff. And my view is by building it here, that gives us an opportunity to be more productive and create something very special over the next decade.
Pretty interesting. Lots of stuff said there. I saw Sin's comment here. Remember when Gary Gensler taught Bitcoin at MIT? Yeah, you can go on YouTube right now and look at there's like how many hours of that of Gary Gensler teaching Bitcoin at MIT. So there's some weirdness for sure with I think the further you want to look into this kind of stuff, the crazier it gets. But even with MIT, you got sailors from MIT, Jason Lowery, who's the Space Force Bitcoin dude from MIT. John Trump, who was Trump's uncle, got access to all Nikola Tesla's documents. He was a longtime professor at MIT. And if you know anything about Tesla, he was pretty big on energy, frequency, vibration, right in line with Bitcoin stuff. So there's a lot to think about there. There's another video here, boys, I want to watch. This one is, I don't know when this one was. Let me know if you guys can hear this one. This is also the same guy. Oh, I guess I got to bring it up here.
With Bitcoin, I know Stan Druckenmiller.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Is now on board. I think when we've talked about Bitcoin in the past, I think you had perhaps a lesser view. I don't know if you have a different view today.
So Stan calls me his partner. I call him my boss. One of us is lying, but I'll let you figure out who's who in that, Andrew. So I'd say I think that Bitcoin does make sense as part of a portfolio in this environment where you have the most fundamental shift, for example, in monetary policy since Paul Volcker. This is a big shift that we're seeing under the Powell Fed, rightly or wrongly. So I'm not surprised in a period of dollar weakness where Bitcoin's doing what it's doing. And I'd also suggest that part of the move in Bitcoin is taking some of the bid away from gold. I think if Bitcoin never existed, gold would be rallying even more right now. But I guess if you're under 40, Bitcoin is your new gold. So I think of Bitcoin as a lot of things, but it's certainly with every passing day getting new life as an alternative currency. And when you see the strength of the euro, the strength of the pound, the strength of the RMB, the Korean won, the Mexican peso, I guess we shouldn't be surprised to see the strength of Bitcoin as well.
Price was 35,000, so that would have been. It also said Warlock won I'm thinking it was a couple years ago, probably 2022 maybe. But the chart looked kind of up. It didn't look like it had crashed yet, so it had to have been before that probably. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Same guy though. So kind of interesting. I would say there's not much we can take away from that, honestly, other than it's just interesting. It'll be nice to get Powell out of there, that dipshit. I can't even listen to that guy anymore. It's just like they're all probably the same too. Like I don't know if this guy will be even an upgrade from that. They're just reptiles in suits.
Yeah, I mean they're just basically the spokesman, right? It is a voted thing. I mean maybe there's a bully pulpit in there or whatever, but there's a bunch of members of the Fed that all vote on what to do. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, this is all just it's all short-term noise, really. I mean, I would say to point back at what the first guy said there, that first video we watched, he said, Bitcoin is not competition to the dollar. There's a lot of useful technology in crypto. He said there's a lot of garbage too, which he's right about. And then he says, we hope to bring all that utility, all that innovation into America because that's where it's starting. And that's just, I mean, there is a team of developers of Bitcoin that live in America, but Bitcoin's a global asset. It's not USDC, right? That's a US centric cryptocurrency project of a stable coin. So I think if you look at those kind of words, those kind of terminologies, he's not actually really talking about Bitcoin at that point. He's talking about stable coins, in my opinion. But yeah, none of it's really that relevant. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, what did the Fed do this week? They kept interest rates the same. Okay, big deal. Like that is that going to matter in a year or two? No, that doesn't matter at all. Like they're just printing money like crazy. Short-term loans don't cost or cost a little bit more than if they had gone down, right? That's going to affect short-term bond holders, people that hold different assets. All of that is just short-term noise, and probably a lot of this. Again, that it always takes a little bit of a narrative to create a price action as drastic as what's happened with silver and gold lately, and maybe that's because. I mean, you really like. I mean, it's possible. The narrative is like, there's more. If they don't lower interest rates, the dollar's value is going to go up. They're providing more stability in the dollar. The economy's stronger, so we need to be invested in productive assets instead. So that creates demand for all of that, and less demand for these store of value precious metals, right? So it's like all of that is short-term thinking. All of that only matters in this tiny little time frame. None of it matters in the long run. If you think about the need for a neutral monetary network, which only works with Bitcoin. It doesn't work with anything else. It doesn't work with gold. It doesn't work with silver. The settlement time is too long. It's too expensive, and it's too insecure. It's crazy.
Yeah. Let's actually start wrapping this up. We got 10 minutes for school community happy hour.
I started happy hour a little bit early here, boys.
Oh, there you go.
It was just looking too tasty. But yeah, that's a good point, Rajat. And I think that the main takeaway for me is like the Federal Reserve has pretty much destroyed society for the last 100 years. Like I would love to argue with anybody who would say otherwise. And they don't really have a choice right now. I think that from their perspective, it's either ignore it like Powell did, fully ignore it and just pretend like it's nothing, or talk about it and talk favorably about it like this guy's doing. Because the other option, I think, is if they started talking bad about it, what do you think is going to happen? It's like for people like me who have fully lost trust in the majority of the system and the whatever. If they tell me to do something or not to do something, I'm going to do the opposite of that. And I think that that's where a lot of people are right now. And if the Federal Reserve came out and said, don't buy Bitcoin, it's bad for this and it's bad for that, I think people would actually flock towards it even more. So I think it's a fine line for them to either ignore it or speak kind of positively. But there's no doubt that they are going to have they're going to try some effery. I was going to say the F word there, but some effery around Bitcoin to try and control it. But the one thing that we can do ourselves, we can't worry about what they're going to do. It's out of our control completely. But what we can do is we can try to wake people up around us to how bad fiat is. We can take self-custody over Bitcoin. And when we have self-custody over Bitcoin, that gives them less chips to play with, less to manipulate, less that they can control, and therefore continue to control the human population here. So it really comes down to that. Just take self-custody, get as much as you can, understand where we are, and hold it in cold storage.
Opt out of the system where you can and take your value out of their system. If you're participating in the system, we all have to some degree, because that's just the way things are at this level. But the more you do, the more power you give that system. It's a self-reinforcing thing. And the more power we give to Bitcoin by participating within there in whatever degrees we can. And the most simple one, the best one is to take self-custody with your value. Use it as a savings account. That's what it works best at right now. It will eventually become a medium of exchange because merchants will demand it. They won't accept fiat that doesn't have any value. Until then, store your value in it, and you will do well over a long period of time.
Yeah, and I mean that's the best way to look at it. And I think that I like this analogy, and it just kind of came to me the other day. But I've always compared Bitcoiners to farmers in a lot of ways. And farmers, I think, if you consider, I titled the stream on my show today, Bitcoiners are we are first generation Bitcoiners, just like first generation farmers. When they initially got that land, they probably didn't spend the first decade of owning that land looking at the price of that land every day because they wanted to sell it and retire early. Farmers, they bought the land, they wanted to make something of the land, they worked their asses off, they wanted to provide value and feed the world. They, with the intention of acquiring more land over time and passing that on from the first generation to the second, to the third, to the fourth. And where we are right now is we're the first generation of Bitcoiners. And I like the comparison of Bitcoin land because they're both scarce. Some people might say, well, land's not that scarce, but it is for the most part. It's much more scarce than silver, gold, anything else. So I think that that's how you should think of yourself as a first generation Bitcoiner. Look at it like land. Instead of wanting to just buy it and retire early, buy it, store your value there, and continue adding as much value as you possibly can to the world. And whatever you get back, acquire more of it, just like farmers do. It's the exact same concept. Farmers don't buy land just so the price of it will go up over time. They want to add value, they want to do something with it, and they want to pass that on to their future generations. So I thought that was just kind of a good way, because a lot of people are depressed with the price right now, but think about yourself as like a first generation Bitcoiner.
Yeah, I like that. So we mentioned the happy hour. We're going to go do that now. This is what we do every single Friday after our live show on YouTube, is we do another hour on our school community. So it's a much more tight-knit, small group, but you can join with your camera. You can join with your mic if you want to. You can participate in the chat as well if you want to stay, maybe you want to stay anonymous or whatever. Doesn't matter to us. But there's really good conversations we've had. I mean, we've done, I don't know, a dozen plus, no, 24 maybe,
Yep.
of these lives. Incredible conversations we've had. We've all learned stuff. We've all been able to teach. There's very knowledgeable people that join as well, beyond us as well. And that's what we're going to go do in a couple of minutes here.
It's just fun. It's a lot of fun. And Rajat talks about this all the time. Bitcoin's a lonely place, especially times like this. It helps to have some friends, some people that you can rely on in Bitcoin, and just to get you through it, because this is the hard part here. We're living through the hard part right now. Again, think of yourself as a first generation Bitcoiner. You want to build the foundation. You want to continue adding value. That's a big part of this community here. Is not just us, talking about how great Bitcoin is, but we're actually trying to make a difference here and build a network. And I think you'll be amazed looking back in a decade from now of the power of a network, especially of other people who think like you, who are also holding Bitcoin, and what that's going to evolve into at some point in the future. So we do these live sessions every week, the happy hour we call them, and they're a lot of fun. That's just one component of it, though. We also have content here like Rajat's talking about here. This is kind of the idea. We want to grow your knowledge, grow your network, and grow your net worth. So this is, it's more of an investment than an expense, because, if you're serious about this stuff, there's a lot of really good information in here in terms of the proper way to buy, the proper way to store your private key. Forrest mentioned this earlier in the show, but the ownership of Bitcoin is your private key, and that's what you have to protect. And so we did a full hour talking about different strategies, where to keep the device, where to keep your recovery phrase, how to be thinking about this stuff, passphrases. This is all included in there. And so what I would encourage people to do today is just join. You can join for a 1 week free trial. Hop in the happy hour today. If you got an extra hour, pour yourself a beer or a coffee or whatever it is, and just stop by. And if it's not for you, then cancel it after a week with zero risk. Literally, it's a free trial. But I think you're going to get a lot out of being in there and participating in these happy hours, and just a ton of good content, great people in there. And it's only going to get better. We actually spent Wednesday this week for 4 hours filming a new course that we're going to be putting on here. And so that's coming hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But people in here are going to get a cheaper rate, a locked-in rate, and they're going to get access to everything that we're putting out on there.
We're most likely going to be increasing the price once the course is out. So just a heads up, that'll probably happen within the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can lock in your price if you join now, before that happens. As soon as we release that course, which, as Rajat said, can be probably in the next couple weeks, As soon as that's out, we've raised the value so much by just that course alone. So we'll be actually raising the cost. So you can lock in now if you get in.
So get the trial today, lock in your price. If you don't like it, you can cancel it. But if you do like it, you lock in the price forever or until you cancel it. So I think we're probably going to increase the price maybe 15 to 20% from here.
At least.
That's 15 to 20% fewer Satoshis that you're going to be buying in the future. So something to think about.
Yeah. Again, going back to the first generation Bitcoiner here, it's up to you. You're the one starting this whole thing for your family. And so it's important not just to look at the price and what, who the new Federal Reserve chairman is, but figure out how you're going to protect this Bitcoin for the next decade, the next 50 years, the next 100 years. You're the one building the foundation right now. And the information that we have is truly invaluable. When you look back 10, 20 years from now, the things that we're talking about today are so far ahead of anybody else who's talking in Bitcoin right now about this stuff. It's not just, again, it's not just why you should be buying Bitcoin. It's how you should be thinking about it. It's a technical / philosophy approach to your Bitcoin. And I just think that it's truly invaluable information. So we got 65 sats here. Mark says, great show, guys. Zap the QR code beside Rajat's head there. If you do want to send some support, if you learned anything and enjoyed the show today. And Mark actually sent 1,650 units of freedom to us. And he said, great show, Maple Boys, 65 sats. We also got 1971. Nice. Haven't seen that one before. 1971 said, keep up the good work. I'll catch the replay later. And 2100 here. Happy Friday, Maple Boys from Kev, a.k.a. 21 Sat Street. So big shout out to everybody on Nostr. Shout out to the people who sent to the QR code there. We very much appreciate it. And yeah, if you don't have a way to support us financially, just leave a nice comment, subscribe to the channel, like the show. But if you do, consider the QR code or joining our the school group, school community. So there it is.
Awesome.
Okay, so it's time. Thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Really good conversation. Thanks Rajat. Thanks Forrest. We'll see you guys this time next week. Thanks everybody.